Hi everybody. So we're going to start this first class with just some instruction on how to use the brushes and what I usually do when I'm painting a plate. First of all, I'm going to use some test tiles instead of using my plate because I just want to show you some techniques that I may or may not use on my own product, okay? So the first thing, somebody asked me, can you draw on these plates? Yes, you can draw with a pencil. I just have a regular pencil. I have downloaded a map of Cape Cod, and I'm just going to trace around that with the pencil. If I make a mistake, I can use the eraser on the back of the pencil to erase it. You cannot wash it off. Don't try and wash it with anything. Just use the eraser. If you make another mark over here, it doesn't really matter because you don't have to get it absolutely clean. Those things will burn out, okay? So you can actually trace around something, a template, if you want to do that. I'm going to paint this one solid and show you what I do. So I'm going to take one of my blues, and this is going to be the turquoise blue that I gave you. I want to put a little bit of water in it. This is distilled water. I'm dipping my brush in there. Remember I said don't really water it down a lot. Right now it's like heavy cream. I'm going to water it a little bit. In my mixing tray here, I just added a couple drops of water, and I want to do the whole background with this fan brush. The other thing that you need to know is no cross hatching unless you want to see the cross hatching. You have to do all of the brush strokes in one direction. You could turn the piece around and do it back the same way, but you definitely need to go up and forth and not across unless you want to have a cross hatch. I'm going to add a little bit more, okay? So this is going to have a watercolor effect to it because you can see the tile underneath, okay? I have to let that dry completely before I do the next coat. If you do want to do a watercolor kind of coat, you do one very thin coat like this and leave it. And then you can put any other colors over it. It's starting to dry now. When it's thicker and you use it right out of the container, it's going to take longer to dry. You must leave it dry between coats. That's very important. Now I'm going to use my template and I'm going to draw right over that so that you can see the map of Cape Cod right over the blue. I found this map online. I downloaded it, printed it off my printer onto cardstock, and that's what I'm using for my template, okay? And you can see I've got a wash underneath. The outline I'm going to do is going to be black. Again, I'm going to mix a little bit of water. This is my distilled water. I'm really just taking a couple of drops. 1, 2 drops and a little bit of the paint just so that I can get it almost like an ink, all right? And I'm going to then go around my pencil marks and draw the outline of Cape Cod. Somebody asked me if they could use you can get underglaze pencils or pens to actually make outlines. I would like you to please not use anything other than what I gave you. I don't know where your materials are coming from or actually if they're compatible with what I've given you. And therefore, if you use any other materials other than what I gave you, I cannot put it in my kiln. That could actually ruin your piece as well as other people's pieces or maybe even the kiln. So I'm just going to do an outline with my black. I've got a very thin brush here that I'm using, and I'm really just going to go around it one time. I've got my template like that. There's other techniques that you can use with different brushes. You can also use a sponge. A sponge is really kind of fun. Now I'm going to do it the full thickness of that turquoise blue because I want to get a little sponged edge around the edge, like around the edge of your plate would be really nice to do something like this. The sponge You just dip it in, and then you can use your regular kitchen sponge to do the same thing right around the edge, just to get the color on the edge. You can actually do something like that even on the piece itself and get a sponge look. I'm doing this just for your benefit. Right around the edge of the piece. Isn't that nice? Look at that. Sponge effect. Every one of your brushes will give you a different effect, and that's why I thought it might be a really good idea to have a piece of cardboard. That way you can test your brushes with water on the cardboard and see what kind of marks they make. Here's my fan brush. You can see what kind of marks that they can make before you actually go to your plate. And I think that's really all I'm going to tell you today.